docked.
Alrighty. Hello, everyone. We're back. Take two. Hopefully this thing actually will go off today, and I'm not sitting here kind of just gibbering at the screen for 40 minutes again. But, hi. Welcome back. I hope everyone will enjoy this. We're very ready for this next queue. So hopefully Ian will be able to swing through and join today. I know he's a little bit out of town right now, but like I said, I'm sure he's been texting me a little bit this morning, so if we can get him in, we absolutely will. Yeah. So I'm just going to kind of sit back for a little bit right now since we're still a little bit far out from launch, and just let you all enjoy the sounds of the NASA stream.
Starliner is a little bit smaller and a little bit lighter, so it can actually land on land. It has those airbags, as we saw. I can't wait to try them out. That's the first thing I'm going to ask Butch and Sunny about. How are the airbags? Because Soyuz is a little bit hard landing, but everybody's fine. But it's really those airbags, I think, are going to make a difference. But landing on water, we have this different airbag configuration, and so we have a fifth airbag that opens up in the middle, and so it's definitely planned that we could land on water, but we save that only for emergencies because refurbishing the capsule afterwards is going to be kind of tough with all the saltwater contamination. So we'd really like to land on land. We have 5 spots in the southwest of the United States that we can land on.
And I remember Sunny saying that she would much rather land on land because she said she had a lot of anxiety with landing in the water, even after you're back on Earth, because it's just a long rescue process and you're bobbing in the ocean. You know, she said, when you land on land, it's done, you're safe.
See, that's the Air Force perspective. That's how we always think of things too. The Navy guys, they should like the water, but no, this is jokes aside. That's exactly it. It's a lot easier to find us and a lot more options if and when we land on land.
All right, so we're coming up on 35 minutes until liftoff.
And here comes a comm check.
Yeah, I want to set the stage now for a series of comm checks.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Op 60, step 10, step 20. Blast danger area is clear.
Roger.
So yeah, we expect to hear repeated communication checks with Capcom in Houston and the crew. This is an opportunity for them to also discuss any anomalies or resolutions to those anomalies. But we've been saying no issues, the team today. So that's great news. And then these comm checks that we'll hear now, we're going to periodically hear them throughout these final 34 minutes. And again, communication is so important, and we want to make sure that those channels are working properly from the crew to everybody else on the ground that's helping to monitor launch. And where we are now, again, the pad team.
It's Butch, Sunny, a Starliner, and Centaur all together.
Right. Yep. The first 2 astronauts to fly in Starliner.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Has been cleared of all personnel accounted for.
Roger.
Butch and Sunny, the first 2 astronauts to fly in Starliner. Sunny will be the first one. People flew to space in an Atlas-class rocket was nearly 61 years ago. CFT is going to be that final test to certify a second commercial spacecraft to ferry astronauts to and from the space station. And this is a cool fact, too. Actually, once in orbit, for the first time in NASA history, the agency will have 3 different crew spacecraft orbiting in space simultaneously. So that's, of course, the International Space Station, the SpaceX Crew Dragon, and then Boeing's Starliner spacecraft. What an incredible milestone.
That is an incredible milestone, and NASA is going to break that again, hopefully soon, when we have another spacecraft. We're working here at the Kennedy Space Center to get Artemis and the Orion spacecraft up into space, too. So these are exciting times, and we're building a future where there's even more spacecraft spacecraft in the future with humans on board going to space. And that's more opportunity for future astronauts.
Yeah, Dee, what do you think about that? Again, Boeing, Boeing Starliner joining as one of the 3 crewed spacecraft that's in orbit.
Yeah, exactly. I echo exactly what Mike said, that this is all about expanding human space flight. So having another vehicle, once this is certified, is going to do exactly that. It's going to get more people into space. Of course, this time to the International Space Station, it's going to increase science. But of course, there's also private missions. So, at the end of the day, it's going to be, it's always great when you can get more people, into space.
Yeah, and we've been asking you to submit your Ask NASA questions from social media. So let's answer some more of those now. We have this one from, love this name, Shaquille Oatmeal on Twitch asking, what's the life of an astronaut like between launches, Mike?
Yes. We spend all of our life, training and wanting to become an astronaut. And then once you're an astronaut, what's it like? And so we do a lot more training. But I'll say that the last time I flew in space, we just had our landing anniversary on June 1st on STS-134.
Oh,
and
wow.
that was in 2011. That would have been a great day to launch, but we chose not to. That's 13 years ago. So in the last 13 years, what have I been up to? And that's been helping get Dragon and Starliner up into space, helping my friends aboard the International Space Station as Capcom. I helped Sunny when she was doing spacewalks, and we help each other. It's all part of a big team. And so today it's great to see Butch and Sunny. They've both been waiting a long time to go fly again. Trying to get a 3rd mission or a 4th mission is really, you have to wait and be patient. And Butch and Sunny are going to have they've been working hard on Starliner too. And that's what we do between missions. We help get ready for the next missions and help our friends be ready and support them while they're in space.
Yeah, and the Commercial Crew Program is so important because in working with our commercial partners, it really allows NASA to pursue other things, like, again, returning to the moon. Our eyes are set on Mars with the Artemis program.
Indeed, and I'll just say I've enjoyed working both with SpaceX and really with Boeing. I mean, when we saw our teammates on the montage earlier, it just
This one is from World Citizen on YouTube asking, does the crew on the space station watch the launch?
So right now it's the middle of
minus 30 minutes.
30 minutes to
RC,
go.
conduct weather briefing on Channel 8 Weather Conference Net.
Roger.
So,
Arm controls, start arm hydraulic final preps.
Roger.
Locks 1, perform pogo suppressor charge.
Roger.
Prop 1, perform RD-180 transducer converter calibration.
Roger.
P&E 2, perform Centaur LH2 SVV cycle test.
Roger.
That's all the communications between the launch team, basically all the steps that's needed to get us to T0.
yes, less than 30 minutes left. So aboard the International Space Station, if the crew gets a minute, I do believe that they're beaming up this launch broadcast. So hi to my friends aboard the International Space Station that they're going to watch the launch. They're very invested in this. They've been waiting for weeks, months for the Starliner to arrive, and we're good friends with the crew on board, so it's going to be very cordial. But yes, I remember watching
minus 29 minutes.
the shuttle's launch. And then when my friends landed on either the shuttle or on the Soyuz, we would try to watch the landing coverage too. So certainly we were always watching NASA TV.
And we did get a chance to talk to NASA astronauts Tracy Dyson and Jeanette Epps prior to launch.
Prop 1, LC.
Prop 1, go.
Are we complete?
Yes, RD-180 transducer converter calibration is complete and the engine FIV is open.
Roger. Flight control, start flight control final prep.
Roger. LC, P&E 2.
Go ahead.
Centaur LH2 SVV cycle tests are complete.
Roger.
Again, Tracy Dyson, Jeanette Epps, 2 of the astronauts that are on the International Space Station already. We did get a chance to talk to them prior to launch.
Update complete.
And they
Roger.
said they are ready for Butch and Sunny to arrive. They've gotten their areas all set up for them. So they're really excited to welcome them just about 26 hours after liftoff today. Again, 27 minutes, 53 seconds and counting until liftoff of Butch and Sunny, the first 2 to fly Boeing's Starliner capsule to the International Space Station. Let's go over now to Brandy and Jim inside Mission Control in Houston.
Thanks, Megan. Lead Crew Flight Test Flight Director Mike Lammers is getting ready to poll the flight control team here in Houston for a go or no-go, verifying that all of Starliner systems are ready for launch. Everything is looking good at the moment, and Lammers will use this poll to determine his own response to the final go, no-go poll by the launch conductor just before liftoff.
Once we do get into the terminal countdown timeframe, there are a few major activities that the team will oversee. The first is Starliner's transition from ground power to battery power. That comes about 18 minutes before launch, and we leave it as late as possible so we can launch with those batteries as...
Go ahead. Arm hydraulic final preps are done. Roger.
L minus 27 minutes.
We leave that power transition as late as possible so we can launch the batteries as close to full charge as possible. A few minutes later, with less than 10 minutes to go before liftoff, Starliner's ordnance will be armed. That activates the critical systems that are needed to detach all the things that Starliner would ultimately deploy or jettison as it climbs to orbit, or back for a landing if that became necessary. And then finally, just 1 minute and 15 seconds before launch, they'll work with the crew to activate the launch abort system, which would rocket the crew to safety in the case of an abort or on the pad early in the ascent.
This will likely be the last you hear from us until liftoff. So we are going to send you back to the team in Florida to let Megan, Dee, and Mike see us through the rest of the countdown. Go Starliner.
Now let's take a closer look at Starliner, the next generation crew capsule that you see atop the Atlas V rocket there on Launch Pad 41 on Cape Canaveral Space Force Station. Mike, Starliner is something, like you said, and Butch and Sunny, you guys really have your fingerprints all over that to make it the ride to space that you guys wanted.
Indeed, Starliner is definitely a Ferguson even called it a astronaut or a pilot spacecraft.
And so that next generation crew capsule, it measures 16.5 feet tall with a diameter of 15 feet. That's about the size of a mid-size SUV. It was designed to carry up to 7 astronauts or a mix of crew and cargo for missions to the International Space Station. After today's test flight, NASA will fly crews of 4 or 5 with cargo. Starliner is also reusable up to 10 times. I'm sure you're excited for your opportunity to fly in Starliner, Mike.
Oh, indeed. We're hopefully Butch and Sunny, along with Calypso, are going to pave the way. We'll be in the other spacecraft that Boeing has. We have 2 capsules, and so again, it's always good to have an extra one and a backup one, and we're looking forward to flying next year.
Let's head back over to Johnson now, where we have Rob Navius with an update for us. Rob.
As we mentioned earlier, in the midst of Starliner arrival preparations on the station, NASA astronauts Matt Dominic, Tracy Dyson, Jeanette Epps, and Mike Barrett are preparing spacesuits to be used for a trio of spacewalks scheduled to begin on June 13th. Other maintenance work is also planned for today by the expedition crew as they gear up for the docking of Starliner tomorrow to the forward port of the Harmony module. Once Starliner docks, it will be the 6th visiting vehicle at the International Space Station, a crowded house 260 miles above the Earth. We're standing by here in Mission Control for the Atlas V to take flight and for a new chapter in human spaceflight history to begin just 23 minutes from now. With that, we'll head back now to the Kennedy Space Center.
23 minutes, 9 seconds and counting until liftoff. So let's check back in with ULA's Dylan Rice and Boeing's Lauren Brennicky with the latest.
L minus 23 minutes.
Hey, Megan. Thanks for coming back to us here in
SYS,
the ASOC. We've been
switch all
monitoring.
secondary decoms, RF link, and verify lock.
Roger.
Initiate orbital parameter calculations on primary CCLS.
Roger.
monitoring those procedures here, and we're coming up on about L minus 22 minutes to launch. And around this time during the last launch attempt, our team worked through what you may have seen a suit pressurization issue. They worked very quickly around this time in the countdown to make sure that everything was going smoothly with this. But when we switched to internal power at L minus 18 minutes, that triggered a small voltage trip, and flight software correctly identified it and turned off the fans. So we quickly turned them back on, just like you would do with your computer, off and on. And today we're going to turn the fan off when we move over to internal power so it doesn't trip again. Then we will turn it back on after. The real difference is that crew will lower their visors about 5 minutes later this time. That action would usually be taken around now or a minute or so from now, and we will listen for that in just a few minutes. The Capcom will tell the crew to put their visors down at that time, and that is a configuration that is needed for proper airflow through their suit. In an emergency, they could pressurize their suits.
Go ahead.
Pogo suppressor charge is complete.
Roger.
LCSYS.
Go ahead.
All secondary. Secondary.
Yeah, you're breaking up, SYS.
And that's the other side on our link.
I did copy that. Please check your headset.
All right, as I was saying, that in an emergency, they would be able to pressurize their suits quickly if needed. And it's a little different for them this time because, as we mentioned during this broadcast, their helmet is really more of a visor. It lays back like a hoodie on their shirt, and they pull it forward and then just zip it up. Our support and secure their restraints from launch. So once we get to that point, it's really buckle up. It's almost go time. And then the crews will report back when finished. And then while we're talking, be looking for the Starliner readiness poll for terminal count. That will happen on a side channel. So I'll be listening for when we hear it. We do have a few polls coming up. That one is short. It will take place in the Boeing Mission Control Center, or BMCC, here in Florida. That is where the spacecraft launch conductor, Brian Gartner, will pull people in that room in charge of the propulsion system. Yeah, you see the room there on your screen.
L minus 20 minutes. P&E1, reinitiate AHB charging.
Roger.
RLM, verify redline monitor and event table or in the correct configuration for terminal count.
The lumbar support.
Verify. RC, verify solar radiation, acceptable for launch.
Verified.
Right, you might have heard, kind of came in faintly.
Starliner copies.
They asked them to go ahead and deflate their lumbar support. Wasn't sure if we're going to hear a little bit more about that. But again, there will be 3 calls coming up on this Starliner readiness poll for terminal count. They will pull the mission support room manager, or MSR. After launch, the BMCC turns into mission support as things shift over to Houston. They will also poll the spacecraft test conductor, who monitors our power systems.
Switch to channel 1. All personnel and visitors remain in present position until launch. Maintain operational silence in the LCC. This is the LC with a terminal count briefing. If a condition exceeds a launch constraint anytime after the terminal count status check, the observer shall announce hold on channel 1, identify their station, and briefly state the reason for the hold.
So, Lauren, as we were mentioning earlier, there's been traffic on multiple side nets, and that announcement that you just heard is Chief Launch Conductor Doug Lebo now bringing the team out from the individual subsystem nets, bringing everybody to the command channel, channel 1, for the final final minutes of the countdown here. So we're gonna start to hear more traffic on to do our final configuration steps for launch. So we're gonna hear a couple of things. We're gonna hear
L minus 18 minutes. Flight control, perform launch on time verification. Roger.
We're going to hear some final avionics checks like that last call. We're going to hear hold fire switch verification. The range hold fire system allows representatives from Space Launch Delta 45 a hold button in the up the road at the Morrell Operations Center. So if there's an issue or range safety issue that comes up, they can press a button and automatically stop our sequencer. So that's called a hold fire check. Those hold fire switches will be configured shortly. And we'll also start to hear calls about wrapping up our helium bottle charging on both the first and second stage.
And Dylan, as you mentioned, with the traffic on the loops increasing a little bit, you at home may notice that we are speaking less. And so we are going to be listening to some of these
Launch on
things
time verified.
as they happen live with
Roger.
you. And we feel it's important for you to be able to...
Go ahead.
AHB charging reestablished and at flight mass.
Roger.
L-minus 17 minutes.
OSM, place SRB ignition SNA switch in the enable position.
SRB ignition enabled.
Verify FCO, RCO, and OSM hold fire switches are in the proceed position.
Ready to proceed.
All right, we're going to send it over to NASA's Daryl Nail at Hangar AE. Daryl.
All right, thank you very much. And getting a final look at the weather, I can tell you this, it's a beautiful day to fly. Outside, our launch weather officer told us that there's no change in the forecast. We are 90% go, and what a beautiful shot of our beaches here from the courtesy of our chopper team here at the Kennedy Space Center. Folks coming out to enjoy the launch and an amazing day. Weather, no changes again. Low-topped cumulus clouds on land, which you see some of it there, but because they're low-topped, that's not a concern. When a rocket flies through a big, thick cumulus cloud, it can trigger a lightning strike, but those clouds are not the kind that can do that, according to Launch Weather Officer Melody Lovin. And so we're good to go there. We also have a launch visibility is always a factor here in the Southeast. Can you see the rocket and from where? And our friends at United Launch Alliance provided us with this graphic so you can see about which point in the launch you would see the rocket. If you're within the first two inner circles, you should be able to see the solid rocket boosters jettison a minute after launch. Folks in the Orlando and Central Florida area will be able to see it about 90 seconds of flight. And then it will come into view for much of the rest of the state after more than about 2 minutes, including Tampa on the west coast of Florida. The southeast corner of Georgia might be able to see the Atlas Centaur separation, which happens after 3 minutes of flight. Again, we're looking good here at the ASOC. Richard Jones polled his team, the NASA operations manager,
15 minutes.
And all of them are go.
LC flight, channel 1 and air to ground 1 are now merged, going to air to ground 1.
Roger.
We'll send it back to the host desk.
LC flight, air to ground 1, ready for comm check with Starliner and channel 1.
Roger. Starliner, LC, comm check on channel 1.
Those are comm checks again.
LC, Starliner, loud and clear.
I have you loud and clear also.
And our astronauts, who you see there. Again, this is the test flight.
Houston, comm check, air to ground 1. Houston, Starliner, loud and clear. Houston has you loud and clear on air to ground 1.
Test flight, and Boeing is working towards certification. To do that, there are a total of 87 flight test objectives and many more operational capability checkouts. So take a look at some of the main objectives with the crew on board. I'll go through a couple of them here. So they will demonstrate the performance of crew-related equipment. The crew will perform hatch operations and
So I'm going to bring you guys back momentarily here. Just a quick kind of run through something else. I pulled this up for the stream on Saturday, but it probably won't hurt to run through this again. So I'm just going to quickly run through the mission profile.
With astronauts Barry Butch Wilmore and Sunita Sonny Williams secure inside Boeing's Starliner spacecraft, teams provide final confirmation of rocket and crew readiness. Then, the RD-180 engine and 2 solid rocket boosters produced nearly 1.6 million pounds of thrust to lift ULA's Atlas V rocket away from Cape Canaveral Space Launch Complex 41. Shortly after liftoff, the rocket begins a pitch over to attain the proper flight path while minimizing the pressure it experiences during flight. Atlas then reaches Mach 1, the speed of sound. To ensure crew safety and comfort, the vehicle rolls to a heads-up position and uses booster engine throttling to limit vehicle acceleration to 3.5 Gs. With propellant expired, the SRBs burn out, followed by jettison. Atlas V's guidance system then activates to steer towards the precise target in space. First stage flight continues as the crewed rocket crosses the Kármán line, entering space. With the majority of propellant expended as Atlas fights against the force of gravity, the RD-180 engine shuts down and the booster stage separates. The ascent cover is then jettisoned, after protecting critical hardware on top of the spacecraft and providing an aerodynamic shape for ascent through the atmosphere. With the rocket now weighing less than 9% of what it did at liftoff, dual RL-10A engines on ULA's Centaur upper stage ignite. Following engine start, the aeroskirt is jettisoned. The ULA-designed aeroskirt extends the Starliner's surface, enhancing its aerodynamic characteristics and stability, and minimizing the loads of this unique crewed configuration. With the first burn complete, the Centaur engine shut down, entering a suborbital coast phase in preparation for separation. Centaur's trajectory design enhances crew safety by providing a shallow orbit more favorable for an abort if required, and ensures the Centaur will naturally deorbit, impacting the ocean off the southwest coast of Australia. Centaur then releases the CST-100 Starliner spacecraft as Sonny and Butch continue their journey to the International Space Station.
Right on cue. Crew access arm about to start moving away from the spacecraft. And Dylan, we will watch it move very slowly today, but it could move much faster if needed.
That's right, Lauren. It takes about 2 minutes to rotate the 120 degrees back away from Starliner to its stowed position and latched position on the crew access tower. Here we go. But we could, in the event of an emergency, redeploy it in less than 15 seconds.
It's amazing that it can do that.
That's always a gorgeous view to see, because that means we are, in fact, moving
After
through
liftoff
the
today, Brandy and Jim will continue commentary from Houston through ascent, spacecraft separation, and the orbital insertion burn.
That's pretty.
We will have the shot of Butch and Sonny inside Starliner until the moment of launch, and then we will get it again when we get to the ISS.
-10 minutes.
Flight verify CST-100 on internal power. Verified. Starliner, configure ordnance for launch.
Touching one.
All right, the spacecraft is running completely on its own now.
10 minutes.
And they are configuring ordnance for launch. That means the devices that initiate our separation events are ready to support both nominal and contingency operations.
Roger.
So, Lauren, we're just about 2.5 minutes now away from our terminal count status check. The terminal count status check is the final report from each operator indicating that their system, whether it be a ground control system or a launch vehicle system, is ready to execute the final 4 minutes of the countdown to launching the rocket. At this point, if there were an issue, the anomaly team would be discussing it, but nothing like that has happened right now. All's quiet. I am expecting to hear all members of the team report go when pulled by Chief Launch Conductor Doug Lebo.
And we're actually hearing on a side channel that they are preparing for the launch vehicle systems poll. This is the long one. A lot of people view this as their favorite poll. It's kind of fun to listen to them list off each system, and then that team will give a final go or no go for launch. And we will be able to watch cameras on the rocket today, and live telemetry feeding back will provide a real-time look at the spacecraft model when video isn't possible during the ascent as it moves through the dynamic phases.
-8 minutes.
under 8 minutes before Butch and Sunny head back to a place they consider home. Both of them have spent 2 different stints of about 6 months on the International Space Station, and they are thrilled to be going back for a 3rd time. Sunny told me she even cried the last time she left the space station because she didn't know if she would ever go back. So this flight is a dream for her.
LC arm control.
Go ahead.
True axis arms stowed for launch.
Roger.
All right.
LC switch to ready position. All steps are complete prior to status check.
Let's listen in to Chief Launch Conductor Doug Lebo conduct that final terminal count status check as we prepare for launch.
L-7 minutes.
Status check to proceed with terminal count. Atlas systems, propulsion,
Go.
hydraulics,
Go.
pneumatics,
Go.
LO2,
Go.
water,
Go.
Centaur systems, propulsion,
Go.
pneumatics,
Go.
LO2,
Go.
LH2,
Go.
has gas,
Go.
electrical systems, airborne,
Go.
ground,
Go.
facility,
Go.
RFFTS,
Go.
flight control,
Go.
GCQ,
Go.
op support,
Go.
comm,
Go.
umbilicals,
Go.
arm control,
Go.
ECS,
Go.
redline monitor,
Go.
quality,
Go.
op safety manager,
Go.
ULA safety officer,
Go.
vehicle system engineer,
Go.
anomaly chief,
Go.
range coordinator,
Clear to proceed.
flight director,
Houston flight is go.
Starliner,
Starliner, go.
launch director.
You have permission to launch.
Proceeding with the count.
Oh boy.
ALC, verify T0 is set for 14:52:15 Zulu.
Verified.
There we go, guys. That's it. That's what we like.
Starliner, net is clear.
Thank you, LC. For everybody listening, just a thought. Sonny and I, as we were traveling to the pad, we saw many American flags, and many of you were waving flags at us. And then as we reached the pad, we look up, and of course there's that American flag on the side of the white room, also one on the side of the rocket itself. And we know that that represents unity and resilience and unified efforts for the common good. And that's what Sonny and I have witnessed this last month. Each of you displaying what this nation's forefathers envisioned, a people committed to God, family, and country, a people who use their gifts and talents for the common good, and are passionate and tough. And we all know that when the going gets tough, and it often does, the tough get going. And you have. And Sonny and I are honored to share this dream of spaceflight with each and every one of you. So with that, LC, let's get going. Now let's put some fire in this rocket, and let's push it to the heavens where all these tough Americans have prepared it to be.
Let's go, Calypso. Take us to space and back.
LC flight, Starliner configured for terminal count.
On my mark,
Roger.
the time will be T-4 minutes and counting. 3, 2, 1, mark. 3:55.
Resumed for
Ground
on-time
power is enabled.
liftoff.
Just beautiful words from Butch there. No better example of unity on this planet
There we
than
go,
what happened
guys.
at the
We
International
made it past the
Space
point of the count where we made it the other day, so
where
this
Butch
is a good
and Sunny
sign.
are headed in just 3 minutes and 30 seconds.
3:30.
Atlas hydraulics at flight crash.
Let's see.
Atlas boosters hydraulic steering systems now pressurized for launch.
Starliner's LAS prop valves are configured for launch. The propulsion valves that need to be open in the case of an abort from the pad.
3 minutes.
Pressurizing Atlas tanks.
Securing LO2 topping.
All right, under 3 minutes.
250. FTS internal.
Flight software is in ascent mode. It is now set for the uphill climb.
2.5 minutes.
$159. Vehicle internal. 155. Launch sequencer start. 150.
Securing Centaur LH2.
Securing Centaur LO2.
Beagle is now transferred to its onboard batteries, and topping is
140.
completed.
Launch enabled. 137. FTS armed.
Under 90 seconds. Here we go, guys.
120. OCU's armed. FCS count started. EDS ascent.
Starliner, last arm to auto.
Last arm auto.
Roger.
That call meaning if the emergency detection system on Atlas detects something.
Rock report range status.
Range green. 54. POP started.
It will trigger the launch abort system on Starliner and fire automatically. If that happened, the spacecraft would push itself away from the rocket a mile up and a mile out.
Atlas at flight press.
Centaur at flight press. 25.
Status check. Go Atlas. Go Centaur. Go Starliner. Godspeed, Butch and Sonny.
Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition. And liftoff of Starliner and Atlas 5, carrying 2 American heroes, drawing a line to the stars for all of us.
Oh, gorgeous angle. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous.
Commander Butch Wilmer, they're calling down to mission control here in Houston that the spacecraft has begun rolling into the right attitude for its ascent. The guidance are here in the room, seeing good data on that.
Starliner passing through max Q,
man!
or the point of maximum dynamic pressure where the forces of air friction are highest, which in Sunny will shortly be passing through Mach 1, where the speed is sound.
Oh, that was wonderful angles for launch. Well done, ULA. That ignition camera angle was something else. Well done. Well done.
You got a good throttle up.
Starliner and Atlas. Looking good with speeds and attitude increasing as expected. Coming up in less than 20 seconds, the solid rocket boosters will run out of fuel and burn out.
Good SRB burnout.
Good SRB.
Now that the fuel in the solid rocket boosters has been depleted, the Atlas main booster stage will be continuing its burn for about the next 3 minutes.
Good handle.
Good handle.
That call, good handle from Capcom Joshua Kutrick, indicating that the crew now has the ability to initiate an abort manually if needed. All looking good so far. Now 2 minutes into Starliner's flight and coming up on the solid rocket booster jettison at the 2 minute and 40-second mark.
Man, look at the ice still coming off. That's amazing.
CLG and yet good trajectory.
CLG.
The solid rocket boosters have now been jettisoned after seeing Starliner through its first 90 seconds of flight. Team on the ground here confirming that it was a good jettison and that the vehicle's trajectory continues to look good. Now 3 minutes into today's flight.
Wow. Oh, wow. Look at that view. It's a pretty dang good view. That's a dang good view.
Atlas booster now throttling back to limit the G-forces on Butch and Sunny, trying to limit that to around 3.5 times the force of gravity you would feel while on the ground.
Should be seeing Atlas jettison in around 4.5 minutes, followed by about 8 minutes of Centaur burn. So coming up here momentarily. On Beagle. Oh, that's a good angle.
Staging.
Here in the ground.
Decals open. You have sublimator act.
Ecal sub-act. Ecal. Great act.
Team on the ground reporting that they saw the ascent cover on top of Starliner that's been protecting the spacecraft's docking system through its climb into orbit. They saw that jettison as planned.
Staging was good. You have good control.
And now the second stage's 2 Centaur engines have ignited to continue pushing Starliner into space, fueled by liquid hydrogen and liquid oxygen. The next milestone that we'll be watching for is the aeroskirt jettison.
Starliner, you had good booster performance. You're up to plus 31.
Plus 31.
Atlas Control reporting booster performance offset of 31 seconds of ISP, or specific impulse, relative to its design baseline of around 450.
All continuing to perform well, almost 7 minutes into today's flight.
4-minute flip to Centaur. Sorry about 5 minutes after Centaur.
Good Centaur.
Good Centaur.
Capcom Joshua Kutrick. Continuing to pass good news up to Starliner's crew. At last one reporting that the Centaur upper stage remains in good condition and is performing well, pushing them into orbit.
St. John's open.
St. John's.
Starliner is now entering its first guided abort range, where Starliner would direct itself towards a specific location in the event of abort. In this case, just off the coast of St. John's, capital of the Canadian province of Newfoundland Labrador.
Starliner MECO converged 11:52 11:52. Good perp. You're at 34 to 36 seconds.
All right, that's good.
11:52. 34 seconds.
That call letting the crew know that the main engine cutoff, MECO, should happen just about on time, about 12 minutes into today's flight. Another good indication that Starliner's ascent is taking along exactly as expected. Main engine cutoff is a major milestone marking Starliner's arrival on orbit. Still got about 2.5 minutes until we get to that. With the spacecraft continuing to perform well, make its way towards orbit.
No action, Starliner on the LCL. That's just the system coming up into controlling mode.
Outstanding. No action.
Once the main engine is cut off, the next step will be the launch vehicle separation. That's set to occur just short of 15 minutes after launch, when Starliner will separate from the rocket and fly free in space for the first time. Flight Dynamics officer reporting that at this point, Starliner could potentially make an abort landing off the coast of Ireland.
All right.
Good cooling.
And they're, again, all continuing well, so we're not expecting to need that abort.
As Starliner is rapidly approaching orbital velocity, this abort region is only available for just over 1 minute, where Starliner would just continue up to orbit after that.
.30 seconds to MECO.
Just 30 seconds to go. Now until main engine cutoff, marking Starliner's arrival on orbit.
There we go, guys. That's it. They've done it. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Wow.
Nominal MECO Starliner.
Nominal MECO.
Hold on.
And with that nominal MECO call, that's main engine cutoff. We've got good energy, meaning a good velocity for continuing to orbit, and a good plane, meaning Starliner's trajectory is aligned with the International Space Station for rendezvous tomorrow.
And with that,
we're gonna stay live through. We're gonna stay live casting this through about spacecraft separation. So about 2 minutes from now, and then we will end the stream here ourselves, or for us. So, because unfortunately I have a real job now. So, yeah.
Jen, both have traveled to the International Space Station via space shuttles and Soyuz and are now well on their way to repeating the journey via Starliner. It's also worth noting that Williams' role as pilot marks the first time that a woman has crewed a flight test of an orbital spacecraft.
Just a few seconds ago, you heard Capcom Joshua Kucher calling up to Butch and Sonny.
Go ahead.
With the expected time, Starliner will separate from Centaur at about 14 minutes, 52 seconds into flight, just under 2 minutes from now, or 1 minute from now.
That is actually the last major milestone for Starliner's ascent. All the hard work is done, but we need for Starliner to be flying on its own before it can begin heading towards the International Space Station. There's a slight pause in the action here while Centaur repressurizes and does some attitude control. We'll get into the right orientation to send Centaur on its way and then jettison it and move into the right orientation for the orbital insertion burn, which will come about 31 minutes into flight.
No action on the cabin temp Starliner.
No action.
And about 10 seconds until an expected launch vehicle separation.
There he goes.
LV-SEP confirmed.
Good LV-SEP.
There we go, folks. And with that, we are going to kind of wrap up our stream here. Thank you all for tuning in. I've had a blast. I'm glad this thing actually went this time, because oh boy, yeah, I'm just glad it went. Anyway, thank you all for coming out. We'll Ian and I will be talking about this a lot on the stream or on the podcast this weekend. Good luck to Calypso, of course, and yeah, congratulations to the crew. Godspeed, Butch and Sonny. And like I said, we'll be talking a lot about this. Ian's got some big Starliner article he's been working on, so this should finally give him the last little push he needs to kind of finish that. Anyway, like I said, before I just kind of keep dragging this out for no reason, thank you all for tuning in. I've been Beagle. This is Max Q. So long, everybody.